You saw is from Earl's Court, May 25th, 1975. And the first half of it, believe it or not, the original master tapes somebody walked off with. So we found a dupe, a Next Generation. So the first 4 songs you saw were from the copy. The original first reel doesn't exist anymore. So we were able to save that and digitalize it now finally. But years ago we used it for an MTV Zeppelin thon. I guess they had it all weekend. So we just restored and transferred all these films we had and put the little titles up. So of course MTV put their logo over it. That's all right. Egomaniacs. But yeah, no, I do this for a living. I restore films and tapes for artists and different companies. They come to me and say, you know, what do you got on David Bowie or who some of the ones this week? Iggy Pop and Hendrix and stuff like that. Sly Stone. So I do this all the time and it's fun. You know, I like working with film and tape and restoring the sound. You know, I have a little crummy studio at home with 30-year-old headphones, and I listen to it and I try to mix the sound as best and as clear as we can to get it so you can enjoy it more. So, you know, this is what I like doing, and every month I'm just more than happy to bring it to you. And obviously, from the amount of people and, you know, of course, not all the clips look super clear. You know, some of the earlier ones are what we call kinescope. In other words, they were done live in the studio, like the French clip of the Yardbirds. And in those days, the only way to save it was to make a film transfer of the tape. Most of the time, they would just erase the tapes after these were recorded, and we've lost a lot of history of these rock groups, even some of the early Beatle performances. But thanks to putting them on film from the tape, making these kinescopes, we at least have a record of it. And, you know, sometimes the kinescopes were not the clearest, they're a little fuzzy. But obviously you sat through it and nobody went blind or deaf, so I guess it worked. So I've been doing this for 30 years, and, you know, I don't know if any of you read the articles in the Times or anything. I've got a house crammed with film, you know, from floor to ceiling. We sleep on it. You know, we use it as furniture practically. You know, pull up a film can and sit down, you know, that sort of thing. So it's been an obsession, you know, for many years. I originally started out with silent films and early movies and things like that, and I got my start working in that into the industry, but after a while there was no money in it. So luckily, you know, I happened to stumble across these, you know, thousands of hours of rock and roll stuff, so people started calling for it. So it's good. So studios like, or companies like Sony and Universal just threw this stuff out 30 years ago, or just gave it away. Oh, hello. How's that? So I guess now we got the question and answer period.
Yeah, we got a couple of questions. Oh, we got a lot of questions. Here's one over here.
Okay, we have a mic.
Well done, sir.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Royal patronizing. I recognize that voice. How are you tonight?
Okay, that was great.
Did you enjoy the brie? There's serving brie in the sky room. What, you have a question?
I certainly do. Why did you have such a big jump as far as the first few clips from, I would say, 1969, and then you jumped right to 75? Is it because, you know, you had to go by what they would approve?
Yeah. Okay. they actually, I sent them a list, and they had to say this, and, you know, they wanted to license a number of clips that I have in the archive, so that left us without some of the press interviews and things like that, some of the lesser-known performances. But maybe one day, you know, I'll talk to them again, see if we can put those back in. But they own, thank goodness, Led Zeppelin were very smart businessmen, and they own all their footage and their likeness and image. They were one of the first groups to really cover their behinds like that. So most of the great concerts that they did, they have. Some of them they don't have, and, you know, like this one, I was lucky to have a good master 3/4-inch tape on. I had to cut it down most of Earl's Court 1975 because it was a 4-hour concert. So I didn't think anybody wanted to sit through 35 minutes of drum solo with Moby Dick. So I sort of cut that a little bit. In fact, I cut it all out. I'm sorry. You know, or a 40-minute version of Whole Lotta Love. So which is why I used the shorter one at the beginning, because it was just, you know, one of those things. I wanted to give you as much of the best songs as possible in a 2-hour span, so that's my greediness about it. That's why I did it. So Does that answer that question? Okay. What's the next question?
How you doing?
Hi. Where are you?
Right here.
Oh, hi.
Right here. Here you go.
Right?
Right here. Hey.
That spotlight.
How about this?
How are you?
How much do I have to pay you to get a copy of that?
I wish my
Serious.
landlord would have these questions.
Payment break.
And actually, no, I can't make copies of this. You know, these are just archival copies, and I have to get permission from the lawyers and groups and managers. And it's a real tough call, you know. But maybe one day, if we all are old and gray, they'll release it. Yes.
How you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you? How's the weather?
Why couldn't we hear Bonham a little clearer on the drums? Is that just where they recorded it back then?
Yeah, sadly, you know, 1975 technology was not the greatest. It's not digital. And often, as you notice, the amps were tuned up so loud, you could almost not hear Robert Plant's voice in some of the songs. But sorry about that. I mean, he's a great drummer. He deserves his due. So maybe next time we can get some more Bonzo in there. Yep.
Hi, thank you so much. I think it was really beautifully put together.
Oh, thank you.
I was very impressed, especially with that early Yardbirds, Dazed and Confused, followed
Yep.
by the Led Zeppelin Dazed and Confused. And where did you say you got the Yardbirds Dazed and Confused?
That came from French television. That was the French National Archives had it. Hence
So
that little
one would-
logo.
So how would one, you know, access that again? Or
I don't know. I guess you'd have to go to France. I mean, I did it as part of a Yardbirds documentary for somebody. They wanted the footage, so I managed to get that. And we have a bunch of other Jimmy Page songs with the Yardbirds, but no Led Zeppelin material. You know, it's mostly stuff that Jeff Beck did. In fact, we have, actually on the soundtrack of some of the performances, it's the actual Jeff Beck soundtrack, but Jimmy Page is miming to it, which is kind of a shame. But that's the only Led Zeppelin thing they did. Any other questions? Yeah, hi.
Oh, yeah, it was beautifully put together. The early footage from Stains was in really good quality. It's great to see that. Just a quick question about another group. Besides being a great Zeppelin fan, I'm a huge Doors fan. Could you possibly do a screening of some Doors footage in the future?
It's a possibility. You know, I'm working with Eagle Rock Entertainment, and they have a licensing with the Doors, and I've spoken to Ray and Robbie, you know, and I found footage that they don't even have. So some early television performances and stuff that's, you know, from Canada and different places. So there's always a possibility of doing it. I just don't want to step on toes. I always have to ask permission first. But Eagle Rock is optioning those clips for another box set they're putting out. So they got that in the works. But we'll see. You never know. It's a possibility.
We got time for a couple more questions. One over here.
Yes, I thought you did a great job, but I have a question. Is there any type of in-studio film that with Zeppelin in studio that you have or seen? Or are they pretty private about that?
They're very private about it. I did find some studio footage, rehearsal stuff in '71 and '72. Maybe a few other clips. Not much, but you know, 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. And they're very close-knit about not releasing that kind of stuff. I wasn't permitted to show it, but it does exist. It is out there. You know, I've got about 20 minutes of it. In fact, I offered it to a PBS series that they're doing a television series about rock groups in the studio and what it was like to work with them. But I don't think Zeppelin's going to give permission to use that footage. But I gave him a demo anyway. Next question.
We have time for one more question, and then
Yep.
we're going to go inside. In the back here. Here, can you pass this?
Yeah, I can hear you.
What about the International Pop Festival, 1969? Remember you last time you said.
The Texas International
Yeah,
Pop
Texas
Festival.
International.
There is
But there is footage of that floating around.
Yeah, that was, but the actual film itself was never finished editing.
Right.
And it's all tied up with, I forget the producer's name, but I can't